Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason C. Charles, Placement Officer at the Career Management Services Department at COSTAATT. Today is a good day as we are here as part of Career Management Services Thrust to ensure career preparedness, job readiness, and job resilience for our students. We at the Career Management Unit are here to continuously assist you in all your career management needs, which include but are not limited to career advisement, resume writing and development services, work study and student ambassador program, interview prep, job search strategy, job vacancies, and posted opportunities to our social media and email. We invite you to like our Facebook page, Career Management Services COSTAATT, for more announcements, vacancies, and tips. We are indeed fortunate today to have with us Mr. Kevin McLean, who is no stranger to COSTAATT and the Career Management Services family. As a former student and facilitator who graciously gave of his time for workshops in the past, Kevin has worked with Regency Recruitment for the past 15 years and currently holds the position of Manager Candidate Services. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience in the field of recruitment and selection. He has interviewed over 2,000 persons assessing their performance, qualifications, and job suitability. In addition to his full-time career, Mr. McLean is actively involved in educating young professionals in Trinidad and Tobago, as he is also the recipient of the Rotary Club's International's highest award, the Paul Harris Fellow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I now introduce Mr. Kevin McLean to deliver his presentation on resume writing skills.
Thank you very much, Jason, for the warm welcome. And it is great to see so many of you here this evening. I hope all is well with each and every one of you. So as Jason said, today we will be talking about resumes in a pandemic that we're going through right now. And we are trying to survive, is what I should say. There are so many people who are looking for work, and there are so many employers whose the things that you're looking for has changed. It means that your resume now needs to change. So let's start with the basics. What is a resume? I mean, I know Jason said that, you put some stuff in the chat and that kind of thing, but feel free to unmute your mic. What in your mind is a resume? Well, what constitutes a resume? Anybody? Don't all go all at once. If you are COSTAATT, well, as Jason said, I'm a former COSTAATT student. You don't like when lecturers call out your name, so I wouldn't want to do that to you. So feel free to give me some feedback.
Okay, well, to me, good evening. To me, resume is a summary of all of my qualifications and what I can offer.
Right, good, excellent. Anybody else agrees with you? Are you hearing me? Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you, Kevin.
Okay, it was frozen there for a second. I'm not sure why. All right, excellent. So I'm seeing everybody says, I agree, fair assessment, etc., etc. All right, so as we delve into, what a resume is, and she's correct, a resume is really a summary, and I'm glad that she used the term summary, because people of today don't have very long attention spans. What do you all think is the average attention span of a human right now?
15 to 30 seconds.
About 15 to 30 seconds. Everybody agree or disagree? Somebody says 15 seconds. Somebody says agree. Actually, it's a little bit less. It's actually less than a goldfish. That's the last study that was done. So a goldfish is 8 seconds and a human is now 7 seconds. So that's our attention span before we, start to think of other things. So therefore, it is important for your resume to be a summary because someone is not going to stay very, very long on that document looking it over. So now that we've covered, what a resume is and so on, let's look at, I'm just going to pull up the presentation here so that you can have a look. Y'all can tell me if you're seeing the screen. Is the screen visible on your end?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir.
Great. So let me hear, what is your favorite snacks or drinks?
Well, my favorite snack is Nature Value, and my favorite drink is LLB.
Nature Valley LLB, right? Okay, that's a good combination. Everything green, labeled green there. I'm seeing some colors flowing there. Anybody else? You all must have favorite snacks. Come on. With all this quarantine, we're quarantining.
My favorite snack is chocolate, and the favorite drink, I would say Coca-Cola.
Okay, Coke, or as we say in Trinidad and Tobago, Cokes. Anybody else?
My favorite snack is Hershey's chocolate, and my favorite drink is water.
Okay, I guess you're mixing the sweet with something a little more neutral. So in thinking about your favorite snack, do you all realize that it's packaged in a particular way? There's always the ingredients listed on the snack.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
Would
sir.
you all purchase a snack that doesn't have the ingredients listed?
Me
No.
personally,
No.
No, sir.
Right.
No.
So it's the
Even
same
natural.
thing for your resume, right? You have to have a particular amount of ingredients. One second, London says Soldanza plantain chips. Yes, that's one of my favorite. The naturally sweet one, though, not the salty one. Somebody else says hot and spicy tortillas, right? And orange breadfruit juice. So you have fancy taste. Breadfruit is a lot of money, but it tastes really good. Yeah, your packaging of your snack is done in such a way to entice or provide a solution to you. So if you're feeling for chocolate, you would go for chocolate. If you're feeling for something, juicy or something salty and so on, it's packaged for that. So it's the same thing with your resume. If it is you're looking for a particular job, you need to package your resume in a particular way so that when the potential employer is looking for someone with your skill set or your ingredients, because that's what we're kind of comparing it to, they will reach out to you because that's what they're looking for. Okay? So let's look at the components. I'm looking for my arrow 1 second. Right, so your product components. On a product, you normally see the contact info for the organization. It'll have the branding on it. It'll have the ingredients, and it will have, it will be packaged in a particular way, right? So it's the same thing for your resume. It needs to have your contact information, which we'll talk about. We're also going to talk about what your branding statement is. We're going to talk about your education, your experience, your software skills, volunteerism, and of course, how it should be laid out, right? So, I mean, I'm sure that you all are familiar with using Microsoft Word because, I remember all these COSTAATT projects that you had to collaborate on. So I'm sure you're familiar with Microsoft Word. You all remember headers and footers? Microsoft Word?
Yes.
Right,
Yes,
so
sir.
make sure your name, contact info is in the header or footer. That way, if it is, you need to print out your resume and, a page gets loose. All of your contact info is on all of the pages. First and last name. I know there are lots of people who are blessed with, several middle names and so on. It's not necessary to put in all of your middle names unless you have a common, name. So yeah, just first and last name is fine. A professional email address that is not linked to Facebook. So why would we want a professional email address for your resume? Anybody? Could we use like sexydarky29@gmail.com?
No.
no, we wouldn't
Why
need
not?
Because they want the employer to take it seriously.
Right, exactly.
It's not professional.
It's not professional either, right? So that being said, it now means that you need to think about one thing, which is if you're sending your resume from your cell phone or from your tablet, which email address do you use to set up your cell phone? Well, I mean, those of us who have Android, you know that you need to use a Gmail account. So you may think, okay, yeah, somebody just WhatsApped you a vacancy. All right, let me just forward my resume. I'm on the road. I have my resume on my phone. Let me just forward it from my phone. I don't need to wait until I go home and use my laptop or my computer. But then the question is, the email that you use to set up your phone account, if it is the sexy darky or whatever, you know, that email is, that's the email it would be coming from. That's the email that the potential employer will see. So that's something to take into consideration, right? Mobile number with a professional voicemail. Why do you need a professional voicemail? No music and all of those things.
Well, if I missed the call, I would like, the person who is considering me for employment to, know that I am worth it.
Right.
Because
so go ahead.
The voicemail will be very short, so they at least have to make sure that it's you. So you'll have to have a short, brief voicemail stating your name.
Right, correct. So your homework is, your first bit of homework is you need to use somebody else's phone or you know, if you have an extra SIM card or whatever, and call your own number. I know it sounds like, you know, hey, this red man, you know, talking craziness, but you need to see what the experience is that somebody else is gonna get when they call your number. So when you set up whatever you have set up or whatever you have now, use somebody else's phone and call your number and see what experience will that person get, right? So that's first bit of homework. Go ahead.
Question. Do you need a voicemail?
Not necessarily. If you intend to call all your missed numbers back, it isn't necessary. But you know, I would still say, you know, still have it just in case, because you never know. I know a lot of trainees now don't bother to check voicemails. So, you know, it's up to you. But you should just make sure you have it there just in case, because some people may be traditional and they may leave, you know, a whole long voicemail with, you know, an interview date, time, who you have to ask for, and so on. So it might be worth doing it. Right, so contact info should be in the header. You don't need anything else in the header. Should be only 2 lines, right? Right, so on your resume as well, most persons would have an objective to the very top. That's the very first section. Some common objectives would be, you know, looking for a job that best suits my qualifications and experience and that kind of thing. Please don't put that on your resume. What you need to do now is you need to brand yourself, right? The employers of today, and right now it's an employer's market because you have a surplus of people who are looking for work and very, you know, little jobs available out there. So the potential employer does not have the time to look at your resume and figure out, I wonder what type of job rather this person, you know, would be suitable for. You need to tell them up front, right? This is what you're looking for. This is my branding statement. This is who I am, right? So let's look at a branding statement. You could steal it from me. You could steal this one, that's fine. So, calm marketing individual with 5 years experience, available to start work in 2 weeks. So the available to start work in 2 weeks is because the person is working and they will have to give notice before they start another job. So let me hear your thoughts on this brand statement.
Okay, my question is, why did you use calm though?
Good question. What word would you have used instead? Are you there?
Yeah, qualified marketing individual.
Okay, all right. Qualified
or
is okay.
Or experience marketing individual.
Okay. I mean, I may not have used the word experience because after 5 years you have the word experience, so I may have, wanted to switch it up a little bit. But okay,
so
go ahead. I like where this conversation is going. Go ahead. Anybody else, feel free to chime in before I start to call names.
It's the first time seeing duration in a brand statement, like available to start 2 weeks. I've never seen or heard of that in a brand statement before.
Right. But it's relevant because given the very short attention span of the human now, you want to kind of encompass all of those things because remember, that's going to be the first section to the very top. So if they don't read anything else, these are the things we already know about this person. Remember, we haven't looked at their resume yet. This is just the first section. What type of job they're looking for?
A marketing job.
Right. How many years experience they have?
5.
And how much, what's the word I'm looking for?
How soon can begin?
How soon can they start work? Correct. How soon?
In 2 weeks, yeah.
There you go. Do we need to read the resume?
No.
We don't. Right? But going back to the word calm, I would suggest if somebody's in marketing, are they really calm? Do we want a calm marketing person?
No, you want somebody who's energetic, positive, vibrant, optimistic, those type of things.
So you see where I'm heading with this, sir? Many of you who is in this session right now could do multiple jobs. I'm sure there are people here who could do customer service and they could do admin assistant, or they could do truck driver and they could do debt collection. So depending on the job you're applying for, it means that you need to keep changing your branding statements. I wouldn't want somebody who is a bailiff, or as some Trinidadians say, a bailiff, right? To be calm. A bailiff, you think a calm person could be a bailiff?
Right.
I don't think so, right? So it means that you're gonna have to keep changing your adjectives based on the type of job you're applying to, right?
So,
go ahead.
Other question. So if you don't have no experience at all, what do you fill out? Like if you have no experience in the field?
That's fine. You could put in, and we'll talk about volunteerism later on. You could volunteer and put in that experience, or put in your education. So you're a marketing individual with a bachelor's degree and X, ready to start work in 2 weeks. Now, if it is you are, to touch on the availability piece, if it is you are not working at all and you're available immediately for work, put that you are an available immediately candidate. Now, if it is you put on your resume that you're available immediately, make sure you're ready, yeah? Make sure you have clothes iron. It can't be that, hey, I'm looking at resumes now. I need somebody to start work tomorrow because, I don't know, one of my employees, let's say, unfortunately got sick with COVID, right? And we need somebody to start tomorrow to, fill that gap quickly. And you see on your resume, you're available immediately. You better be available immediately, as in, I'm calling you 6 o'clock this evening, and I need you to start work tomorrow. You all understand what I'm saying, right? You have to be ready to just go. It can't be, well, I could start next week, Monday. No, employers don't want to hear that. If you say available immediately, right? So, get ready. Go ahead.
All right, so this brand statement objective here, this has nothing to do with the cover page, right? It is just like the top of the this is just
the top
the
of the resume. I could confess you, Victoria, that I've stopped reading cover letters a very long time ago. I find it too long. It's a set of I. People simply repeat what is on your resume in the cover letter. You know it. And again, you don't have much time. On average, how many resumes do you think an HR person gets on a daily basis?
200, 150, 200.
200, 150. So in a week, how much is that? 200 by 5. You really think they're gonna read all those cover letters? 200 cover letters? I don't think so. But that's just my take on it. Somebody else may go through it, So unless the advertisement for the job says resume and the cover letter, then you include the cover letter, right? One more thing before we move on from the brand statement, try to choose adjectives that other people may not choose. So for example, on a resume, always see excellent oral communication skills or excellent written communication skills. And then they say that, and then the resume has typos. Or they say that they have excellent oral communication skills, but in the interview, you know, they're barely talking or you know, they're just not good. They're not a good communicator. So try to stay away from those generic adjectives. People love loyal, they love hardworking, you know, those are the things that you see, you know, very common on a resume. So try to, you know, step out of that zone, right? So some people said earlier, energetic, you know, if it's marketing, you're vibrant or, you know, whatever words you want to use, right? But don't use an objective, use a branding statement. Let's see, what do I have next?
Excellent.
Right. Go ahead.
If you say available at employer's time of convenience, which means you're available.
No, give a time frame. If you're available immediately or available 1 week, 3 days, 2 days, you know, you need to give that time frame.
Yeah, better to be direct. I agree.
Be direct.
Yeah, be direct. It's always good to be straightforward and direct in these things. It eliminates the guessing game for the employer, and you don't want to guessing.
You know, to add to what Adeline is saying, think about it. I have one resume on the left that says available immediately, and then another resume on the right that says available at the convenience of the employer. Which one I think I might lean to call? You understand? Next we have the experience section of your resume. Make sure you put dates, please. I'm not lying, I'm not kidding to you. I interviewed somebody just Tuesday of this week. Solid experience, worked in very good sectors of, you know, Trinidad and Tobago, oil and gas, and all sorts of various sectors. No dates on your resume. So I said to myself, well, you know, I'm seeing this on your resume. I'm seeing these companies on your resume, but I don't know when you worked there because there are no dates. So, you know, you're probably thinking, well, it should be understood that you put dates, but there are many people who don't put dates. Make sure you put the company name as well. Make sure the job title is there. In doing the job title as well, there are many people who, let's say, work for OJT, and they're like, well, OJT never gave me a job title. I'm like, no, your job title must be on your contract, right? So go back to your contract, look, find what is that job title, right? The other thing that you can put in as well that I'm realizing because of the pandemic is that there are a lot of people who are doing sideline projects for friends. So one person I interviewed recently, more than one actually, told me that he is into architecture. So he's into AutoCAD and drawings and all of those things, right? And he was laid off from his job in July of this year. And since then, he has been doing like architectural drawings for friends who are building homes and so on. And he didn't have it on his resume. So when I asked him, okay, your last job was July, so that means you have August, September, and October, those 3 months. What have you been doing in those 3 months? And he's like, well, yeah, I was just helping a friend. So as I probed further into what he was doing, as it turns out, he was doing, you know, drawings for friends who were building their homes. And I said to him, you need to put that on your resume because right now there's a gap in your resume of 3 months that isn't showing what you were doing. So, you know, you could label it independent contractor and, you know, this is what you were doing. So, you know, for all of you who have, as you know, the popular saying goes now, all these side hustles or part-time hustles and whatever, when there are gaps in your resume, make sure you put those things in there, right? In terms of duties performed, try not to go past 6 duties, please. When you list all 10 and 20 duties under one job, it's too much. Again, given the attention span. The other thing with that is try to stay away from the generic listing of job duties. So people would put things like filing, answering the phone, taking messages, typing letters, you know. You need to delve a little deeper into it, you know. Don't just say filing, you know. Say that you manage the documentation system of the organization. Was the documentation system physical? Was it physical filing? Was it electronic filing? Is there software that they use for their filing? What is the retrieval time for documents? Because as you know, that's the biggest pet peeve of the filing room, right? You ask somebody for something and they take a whole day before they bring the file for you. That's because the file is in a mess. The filing system is in a mess. So it should be a case where you would have managed your system so well that you were able to retrieve data for the relevant parties, within 5 minutes. Put a timeline to it. You all understand what I'm saying? Don't just put filing. Let me see. Somebody says something in the chat here. You don't have to set a time frame period when you what question is Alicia? I'm not sure what this question was about. Was this about the availability?
Yeah, like let me say if you're working part-time, like you go and help and you don't really have a specific time frame to put, like would it be okay to just put time frame or you have to put a date?
This is if you were assisting a friend with something, like with a project or something?
Yeah.
Okay, well, at least for the month. So try and remember, which month you started, and you could put to present, put the job, and in brackets put part-time. But yeah, you'll have to try and remember what month, ask your friend, when did I start helping you with your store? Or, whatever the case may be. Try to put a month and a year at least. You'd have to get as granular as the day you started, right? Does that help, Alicia?
Yeah, thank you.
You're most welcome. Right, you all understand what I mean about not listing generic things on your resume? Anybody has any questions about that?
Okay, I have a question, right?
Go
so
ahead.
If you have your own business and you're currently self-employed, would that hinder you from getting the job?
No.
All right.
No. Just put it as part-time. What will hinder you, Shamika, is if it's in the same industry. So if, let's say your sideline business is, I don't know, you manufacture homemade beer. I'm just using a wild example, right? I mean, and you go to apply for a job at Carib, they might be like, there's a conflict of interest there. If you understand what I'm saying, Shamika.
Yes. Okay,
so once there's no conflict of interest, you should be fine. Just make sure you state it on your resume, just like all the other jobs. Name of your organization, put the fact that you are the owner, the manager, director, whatever the case may be, and in brackets, make sure you put part-time.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
All right, Shamika. All right. Let's go on now to, because I don't want to go over time, because trust me, I could talk here with you all till 12 o'clock tonight. So, right, education. Of course, you need to put the year you started. I mean, if you can't remember for COSTAATT, just go into your academic transcript online, go back. I mean, that's easy to find, right? Of course, the name of your institution. In terms of the courses that you are completing, only put in the courses that are salient and relevant to the job that you're applying to. I know some people like to go into their transcript and copy and paste all the courses that they're doing into their resume under COSTAATT. Please don't do that. So for example, earlier we used marketing as an example. Remember the branding statement? You all remember that from before? You all remember that?
Yes.
Right, good. So for example, if that's the type of job you're applying to, the courses you should highlight would be, and if you have principles of marketing, do they still have that as a course?
Yeah, you have market research, principle of marketing, advertising,
there you go.
And those stuff.
There you go, right? So you would list those 4. Don't list more than 4, right? You wouldn't list OB, and you wouldn't list finite maths, and you wouldn't list, I'm trying to remember some of the courses I had to do, but you all catch it just, right? If you're in HR like myself, you wouldn't list principles of marketing. You would list the HR related, 2 or 3 of the HR related courses, right? Now, of course, that's if you have room on your resume. This is also pretty good if you're transitioning from one job to another. So let's say in customer service right now and you're trying to get into marketing, it's also good to show the kind of courses you did in marketing so that the potential employer sees that you have some knowledge of the theory. Or if you're in marketing, trying to get into HR, or you're trying to switch from one to the other, it's a good starting point to put some of the courses that you did. Like I said, don't let's see whole transcript, 2 most important courses or 4 most important courses, right? Any questions about education?
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Oh, you can continue. Then I will go.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, I need more clarification about number 4. Yeah, with
Go ahead.
salient aspects of course of study.
Mm-hmm.
Were you referring to not like, focusing on 2 or 4 courses? That's
correct, yes.
necessary, okay.
Correct. So like I said just now, if you're in marketing, you put in like 2 or 3 of the marketing courses that you would have to have done under your associates or your bachelor's or whatever the area or the job you're applying to, that's what you'll put in.
Okay,
right?
so where does number 3 come in? Because so it's like number 3 and 4 tied in?
It is number 3 and 4 tied in. You are quite correct, Victoria. Yes.
So you also put in your CSEC results, right?
You can put it in. I would suggest that you just state how many passes you have inclusive of math and English. I wouldn't suggest that you list them all out. So you could put,
like
5
your
passes
actual
inclusive
CSEC.
of. Sorry?
Like your actual CSEC results.
No, just put how many passes you have. So if it's 7 passes in all or 5 passes in all, you put 5 passes inclusive of maths and English. Do that as just one line.
Okay, I have a question, right? Currently pursuing bachelor's degree. So, would you include the institution and the date you start to present?
Correct, definitely to present.
All right, thank you.
Some people go as far. 1 second. Some people go as far as putting the projected end date, which is fine by me. So you're starting 2021, you're gonna finish 2025. They would put the projected end date on the resume as well. Somebody else had a question just now. Go ahead.
It's a similar question now in terms of like if you haven't collected your degree in hand, right? But you're finished. So do you put like I have the associate's degree, you have your degree in this or that? But you don't have it. Say the call for the interview, but you wouldn't have your certificate to show.
I would say definitely put it. You could use the academic transcripts, or I don't know how they're doing it now, but what I did as soon as I was finished with my associates, literally I went to registry, fill out the letter form and ask them for the completion letter. And I did the same thing for my bachelor's. I didn't wait for no graduation. I did the request letter form, just have it in the little boxes.
Yes, did all of that. Okay.
No sticking to chicken. Get at one time. And then when graduation roll around, when November or next year or whenever, and but you don't even get a certificate in graduation. Remember, after graduation, you have to go back and collect it in registry. So get a letter and use that in the meantime.
Okay.
Right, use of terminology. So, for example, let's switch it up from marketing now. Let's say you're applying for a job in accounting. You're doing, I know we had management with accounting. Do they still have that? Is anybody here doing that degree? Management with accounting? Or no? That's not an option anymore. Anybody?
It still is an option.
It still is an option? Okay, great. So let's say you're applying for an accounting type job. I would expect you to use words like accounts payable, accounts receivable. Y'all understand what I'm saying, right? The terms, the terminology, the words in that specific area, I would expect you to use those terms on your resume. I wouldn't expect you to say, well, I used to collect money. That's accounts receivable, right? So whatever your area of expertise is, marketing, I would expect you to talk about branding or, whatever the case may be, right? So I would expect you to use the terminology. Has anybody ever heard of the theory of using the ings, words that end with ing?
No.
No? Anybody else? I'm gonna have to start calling names because I realize it's the same people talking over and over. Anybody else familiar with the ings?
No.
No?
No, sir.
No? All right. So your INGs would be, let's go back to primary school here. Your action words that end with ING, right? So on your resume, you would say that you were responsible for analyzing or assessing or words like that. So for example, let's say you're in customer service. You wouldn't just say dealt with customers on a daily basis. In order for you to deal with a customer, what's the first thing you have to do? In order for you to provide a solution to the customer, what's the first thing you have to do?
Well, you had to greet a customer.
Greeting, right? What else?
I would communicate.
Communicate, Go ahead, what else?
Find out what they want.
Correct. You have to find out what they want. So you wouldn't say it like that on your resume. So what word could we use for finding out what they want?
Inquiring.
Inquiring, or what about analyzing or assessing? Right? If your job entails doing some form of report, a weekly report, again, same thing. Analyzing the data in order to prepare, you wouldn't just say prepare weekly reports, right? If you are an admin assistant and you're looking at, preparing letters, again, that's the ings. Preparing letters accurately, look at error rate, 0% error rate, because some people could do letters really quickly, but if they have a set of errors, then how helpful is that, right? So think about your ings, assessing, preparing, analyzing, monitoring, that's another good one, right? So if you're in IT, your job is to, monitor, you're responsible for monitoring things like viruses on end users' computers or, whatever the case may be, you're responsible for monitoring. If you're in a leadership role or supervisory role, you're responsible for monitoring performance of your staff, use your ings, right? You all understand what I'm saying?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So don't just, list all the generic, stuff, right? Take it a step further. Let's go. What do we have next? I feel I skipped a slide just now. Oh no, I didn't. Right. Software skills. What sort of software are you familiar with, Joshua?
I'm familiar with Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign so far. I also know about.
So are you in graphic design, the graphic design world, Joshua?
Yep.
Excellent. So Joshua, on your resume, I would not expect to see Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint on your resume, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess, because
Why?
Because I do use them when time comes to it, so you can do it still.
If it is you are applying for a graphic design job, I would suggest you don't. Put Photoshop, put Illustrator, put, all those creating softwares, right? Who else do we have? Who else did I not hear from? Samantha. Well, we may have more than one Samantha, so the one I'm saying is Samantha Ramdas. Tell me what software you're familiar with.
Okay. Well, I did courses already with Microsoft Word, Excel, and Access. That's what I did.
Right. What type of job are you looking for, Samantha?
Administrative.
All right, so then these will be applicable to you. Definitely Microsoft Word, for sure, for admin assistance. And of course, the others will be a plus, right? So you can stick to these.
Okay.
Right, so you all catch it just. What about accounting software? Anybody here in accounting? What accounting software can you include on a resume if you're in accounting?
Well, I'm not in accounting, but I did Peachtree.
Peachtree, QuickBooks. Well, that is kind of outdated, but you all catch it just, right? MicroPay is another popular one in the finance arena, right? So again, try to make your resume different. Don't just list the generic Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint. Yes, if that's what you use for your job, whether you're admin assistant or clerical or whatever, that's absolutely fine. But if you're in another area, then I would expect that you would list those type of software, right? Volunteerism. How many people here belong to some sort of voluntary group?
I do.
Great. I do. Anybody else?
I don't, but I have a certificate in volunteerism.
Really?
Sure.
Where do you
Yes.
want to do that? I'm curious.
I have it with BPTT.
Right, nice.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I could use that as a substitute. Yeah.
You can use that definitely. But as the first time I'm hearing somebody has a volunteerism certificate, that's pretty cool. I don't know if you all realized just now when all of y'all were saying I do, I felt like I was in a wedding. Everybody was just saying I do, I do, I do, I do. I know that was a real stage. Let's see what the chat has here. Red Cross is one. Right. So you need to strategically tie in the voluntary work that you do with the type of job that you're looking for. So, for example, using the examples that we have so far, we spoke about accounting. So most voluntary organizations have a treasurer. So if you know you're getting into the accounting field, you should volunteer to be the treasurer of that particular organization. If you are in graphic design, like Joshua said before, you should volunteer your skills to that particular organization so that you could put it on your resume that you do their graphic work, their flyers and so on. You all get the gist of what I'm saying, right? Be strategic with your volunteering, because if it is, for example, you're trying to transition from one job to another, or I think somebody said earlier they did not have 5 years experience just yet, you could actually list the voluntary experience on your resume once it's related to your area, right?
So question.
Go ahead.
If you were like in clubs in school where you were the assigned assigned club leader for the entire club for the school, would that count?
It will count, especially if you're looking, let's say, to be like a customer service supervisor or something, or any sort of supervisor. You could show your leadership, skills by having that listed on your resume. I'm trying to think of some others. If you're in administration, of course, being the secretary is good, secretary of the club. So you all get the gist of it, right?
One last thing, sir.
Sure, Victoria, go ahead.
When it comes to, okay, I am in a mass comm degree, right?
Right.
What type of, voluntary activities you would say would help in that area, like for me to get a career?
All
like
right,
to
so
apply for a job?
I would suggest you can start off with, there's a group on Facebook called Volunteers of Trinidad and Tobago. They do like a database of people who, how do I explain this? They have a database of people that organizations go to when they need volunteers, and they would send out postings letting the volunteers know that, hey, this particular organizations need help with X, Y, or Z. So it doesn't really matter per se which organization you volunteer in, once you do the communications for that particular association or organization. If you're looking to get into mass comm, I would suggest you start on the trajectory of there's that local, is it MAT, I think is what it's called? Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Follow them on LinkedIn, follow them on Facebook, start connecting with a lot of the media people, because that's where you want to be. If you have a LinkedIn profile, make sure you connect with like Disha Rambajan and all those media people. So that's the kind of advice that I would give if you're getting into the media, mass comm kind of area. You have to start kind of planting seeds from now.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Victoria. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, I'm doing a degree in environmental health, right?
Nice.
Would that that group on Facebook, Volunteers of Trinidad and Tobago, also have groups for me to volunteer in as well?
Yes, they have a wide cross section. So it's like a hub. It's like a hub of volunteer groups. And of course you could, volunteer for more than one. All right, I'm getting my time check. I have 13 more minutes. So let's go with layout. So just like, when you're looking at the labels on your favorite snacks and so on, you will see ingredients and it will be laid out in a particular way. It's the same way you need to lay out your resume. So start with your branding statement at the top. Next section would be your education and training and development. Next section would be your professional experience, then your software skills, and then your volunteerism, in that order, right? If you want, you could switch experience with education. Some people prefer to put experience then education, but it's vice versa. It's fine. But the most important thing there is the branding statement, because you need people to know exactly what you're looking for, right? Don't forget as well, in doing your brand statement, it means you'll have to switch it up for every job that you're applying to. So besides the adjectives which we spoke about before, you can't have your branding statement where you're saying you're looking for a customer service job, but it's an admin assistant role you're applying to. You're gonna have to keep changing the wording. Let's see, what else do we have? Right, so this is just some, overall stuff for you to remember. There's no right way to do a resume. Nor with, COVID and the pandemic, I've seen people do some really out of the box stuff. I saw somebody do their resume like a Facebook profile. So they went on Facebook, did a full profile with, what they can do, and that is their resume. There are a lot of people now who are doing video resumes as well. So where they talk about themselves for like 30 seconds, that's also trending. Organize your data in reverse chronological order. That is fancy words to just say use most recent item first and then work your way back. So most recent bit of education, going back. Most recent work experience, going back, right?
How far to go back?
Sorry, Adeline?
How far should one go back?
You should go all the way back. What I could tell you is, in order to make sure your resume isn't too long, don't put the duties for more than your last 3 jobs. So for your most recent 3 jobs, put the duties, and then all the jobs after that, just listed. Don't put the duties for the jobs before that. That way you'll get it shorter.
Okay, cool.
I hope that helps, Adeline.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Next thing is, right, when you print your resume, look at it from a distance. So you hold it up like that in front of you and ask yourself, would you read it? Does it look too jumbled? Does it look, is the font a little too small? Look at it from afar for 30 seconds and say, will I actually read this document, right? In terms of font size, between 10 to 14 is fine. Oh, let me address fonts. There are people who love to use one font in the top, a different font for the header, another font down below, and then they think they get being creative by putting a flower border all the way around. No, please don't do it. It looks like, child's play when you do that. Don't do that. Just regular font, bold certain things. You could italicize certain things, but you don't need to, don't try to do all the word art thing going around. No, just leave it alone, right? Of course, using underlining and italics and so on. Try to limit the length to 1 page as much as possible. And of course, have someone proofread your resume. So, you have school friends, ask, one of your friends from class to look over your resume for you just to see how it looks. Let me see, Adeline says neat, clean, sleek. Exactly. Neat, clean, sleek. Right? Nothing too much. Sorry?
I did see a mention of references. Do we add in references after the volunteer work?
That is an excellent question. Who would have asked it? I didn't see.
Carice.
All right, Carice. That is an excellent question. I purposely left it out because I'll tell you something. In Trinidad, we're very judgmental, and based on the references you put on your resume, people will judge you. So I would suggest that you just leave it out. If the job advertisement asks you for references, feel free to include it. But if they haven't, you can have an appendix to your resume, which would be on a separate sheet. You can have your list of references. But when you put the references up front, people will judge you based on, those references. So let's say, for example, I went to school with one of your references and, I don't like the person. I may or may not interview you, Somebody had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for the references, on my resume, I put references available upon request. I could do that?
I don't like that. I mean, other people are fine with it, but that's just my personal opinion. But I know of other HR people that are fine with that. So you could leave it. Once you have space, if you realize it's getting too long, then, leave it out. But once you have space.
Okay, so just I could leave out references but if I am putting it, just put their contact or something alone.
Yes, make sure you put their contact number and their email and make sure they know that you're using them as a reference.
Okay, and one last another thing, instead of objective, right? So totally just put the brand statement, like if I have to title it.
Correct. No objective. Objective is gone. Use your brand statement. All right, I was hoping to have time to show you all a video, but we're down to 6 minutes, so unfortunately I wouldn't be able to. So this is where I'm opening the floor to ask questions. Of course, remember to brand yourself. Remember, it is important to include all of your ingredients on your resume. On that topic, I also want to say to you, one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they put on their resume the number one thing that they could do, but the number one thing that they could do may not necessarily be what the job needs, right? So let's say you're really great at baking cakes and you're looking for a job in accounts. Does that really matter? It doesn't, right? So you have to stop and think, what are they looking for in this job? And do I have those skills? As opposed to, you know what, I'm really great on this, I need to include this on my resume, right? So that's another pro tip. Question.
Good evening. Excuse me.
Hello. Hi,
Just
is it Jared? Is how you pronounce your name?
Yes, Jared. I was just wondering, listening to the bit about references,
right?
Where does your previous employer giving you a reference come in?
As in a reference
does it come in at
letter?
all? Yes, as like your previous job, place of employment.
So when the potential employer asks you for your documents, as in academic certificate, etc., all of your documents, you can submit your reference letter with that.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Would this video be posted somewhere where we could access it to review it? Because I was in and out.
Okay, no problem, Mikhail. As far as I know, Jason said it will be posted on COSTAATT's YouTube channel. So you'll get some sort of notification as to where it will be posted.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
All right, Mikhail. Let's see. Who did we not hear from? Charisse, any questions? I'm going through everybody. Charisse, any questions?
Yes, sir, I need to ask you a question.
Sure, go ahead.
If you're applying for a job as a medical lab tech, should you put as your brand statement detail orientated because the jobs because in that job you are required to be detailed?
Yes, or meticulous. Meticulous is another good one because if you mix up, one person's results with the other, somebody who doesn't have cancer may get may have a conversation with a doctor and, it might be incorrect, so. All right, let's go to Cheryl. Any questions? I'm seeing Cheryl.
Hi, good afternoon. Not at the moment. Thanks.
Not at the moment. Okay, no problem. Well, we heard from Shamika a lot. Kavana, any questions?
No, it was just
okay,
very positive.
Great.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Alicia Campbell, any questions?
So I have one more question. For your
No, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Alicia. Go ahead, Keegan.
For your references, for your club activities in your school, could you put your principal?
Oh, not if you have work experience.
Okay, thanks, sir.
If you have work experience, I wouldn't suggest it. You need your previous employer. Shavana Lal, any questions?
Hi, good afternoon. I have no questions, sir. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, Jana Sedano. Any questions, Jana? No, Jana's not there. Gaylan?
No, I'm good. No questions.
All right. Faith?
Hi.
Any questions, Faith?
Hi, no questions. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Wendy?
Yes. You were saying something about the font size for the resume. Can you explain a bit of that?
It's between the font size, it's between 10 and 14 for the largest.
Okay.
All right, I hope that helps.
So, question: what kind of font would best suit a resume? What kind of font?
Resume, go with the usual Times New Roman, Roman, Arial, those two are fine.
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Sure.
You were talking about the decorative part of your resume. As a graphic designer, we could decorate it, as you say, make a Facebook profile. But if you're going for a job more like a shoe store, there's a simple job. Should you decorate it or keep it simple?
And which area said you're in? You're into graphic design?
Yeah, but right now I just looking for a job. I mean, I get an agency, so if I decide to apply for a simple job like a shoe store, clothing store, should I still decorate the resume or keep it simple?
All right, Mariella, in your case, I would strongly suggest that you do two things. You have a resume that is not decorative, you know, straight to the point, clear, clean, sleek, as your other classmate and he has said earlier, that speaks to the clerical or customer service or, you know, that sort of job that you're applying to. So you have that as one resume, and the document or what you're using to apply for your graphic design jobs should really be a portfolio. Some graphic designers go as far as using one of those free websites where you could click on and, you know, view all of their work. So that's what I would suggest you start building on a virtual portfolio. You could go on Google and Google a couple of them to see what they look like and see what style and so on you want to use. So yeah, I would suggest you have two things. One, you know, regular document showing the skills that you have that could be used in whatever, you know, job you're applying to, clerical or a store clerk or whatever the case may be. And then outside of that, you know, have your portfolio with all of your graphic stuff. Does that help, Mariella?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, excellent. So I'm out of time. Those persons who did not hear their names call, it means that you get away from the teacher calling your name today. So I'm sure you're very happy. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to find out the general information section of the resume. What is expected, like, to put on that, under that?
When you say general information, which section are you talking about?
Like, all right, on the resume, like on some of the templates, there's a section that says general information. We have, you know, skills and strengths, general information, you know.
Oh,
like,
no, I usually don't put that again. I'll tell you why I don't like that section, Chanel. I don't like that section because, again, people list the generic stuff. So they'll say, they'll have a section called skills and they'll put excellent with non-verbal communication skills, hardworking, dedicated, creative thinker. But then when you interview them, you realize they're none of those things. They just copy-pasted it from other people. So that's why I don't really, you know, I don't really go with it. I think you can display those skills in the interview itself.
Okay. All right, understood.
Somebody's asking, Chantal, what about borders? A plain border, you know, all the way around is fine. Shanika is asking, do I put attention human resource in it? Shanika, I would strongly suggest that you use the investigative skills and find out who's the HR manager. You have LinkedIn, you have Facebook, you have, you know, all these things where we could find out who these people are. So, you know, Google until you get the name, so that you can address it, you know, properly.
So I have a question.
Hi, Alicia.
This would be our last question for today's session.
But this counts more with sending your resume, right? So if you have previously sent a resume and you want to, well, you made some corrections to it, how long would you take to send the corrected one, or you could send it like immediately?
This is for a job you would have applied for correctly?
Yeah.
I would say if it's the same organization, if they call you for the interview, go with the updated resume to the interview. If it's you want to just send it again like a month later because it's for another position they have or something, you could send it like a month later.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right.
Good. I'm glad that you all really got into this thing really late. You all wait until we had no more time.
All right. I would like to, again, for those persons who could have come in late, my name is Jason Charles, Placement Officer of the Career Management Services Department. And first of all, I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time and the opportunity to log into our workshop today. It was really, really heartening to see that you all would have invested in your own development and your own personal development. I would like to thank our presenter, Mr. Kevin McLean, who has always said yes to our request for him to participate in our workshops over the years. This is probably about 10 years that Mr. McLean has been assisting us in the Career Management Services Department and COSTAATT by extension.
Jason, you're trying to give away my age.
And we would like to thank you sincerely. And I would like to remind the students who are logged in that we have other workshops that we'll be having tomorrow. We'll be having interview skills and tips. And next week, Monday and Wednesday, we'll be having job search strategies and professional etiquette. All right, just to also remind you that this presentation is being recorded and will be placed on COSTAATT Media. We will send you an email to let you know when that is done, and so you can look out for it. Again, it will be posted to our Career Management Services Facebook page. You can look at it, Career Management Services COSTAATT, for further information, job vacancy tips, and those sort of things. So again, Mr. McLean, thank you for engaging our students at COSTAATT.
You're most welcome.